Shavua Tov, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Kidarkenu Bakodesh. I'd like to start with a beracha. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Shahakol Nihya Bidvaro. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak for a living, and it's very seldom that I stand up in front of a tzibur and feel the butterflies that I'm feeling now. And it's not because of my speech. It's because of what I just heard. Rabbi Shmuel, you moved me. You moved me because the words that came out of your mouth actually came out of your heart. You moved me because very seldom do I hear someone speak about their Rav with such awe. I was thinking to myself on the way over here, how many kihilot in Klal Yisrael had the opportunity to build shuls? How many of them accomplished this incredible decorum that you boast for tefillah? And I know the secret now. I get it. Because when there is an awe of Kavanat Torah, when there is an awe of a Rav, of a Rebbe, he's a dogma that's standing in front of the tzibur. When you see him, you see who's representing the Eibishter. And that means Hashem is right in front of your eyes. How could you talk? How could you not be awe-inspired on a regular day, let alone the high holidays, let alone to see and to be able to experience what a tefillah was meant to be, with a Rav that was meant to be for such a fantastic tzibur. I'm still getting over this. It's unbelievable. Really. I'm a kind of harav. I also have a tzibur. I know what it is to be a rav. I know what it is to be a rav. It's not if they're going to throw, it's how big the rocks are when it's thrown. So to listen to what we just heard, to me is fantastic. You took an opportunity and you built a makom that is awe-inspiring. I'm laughing at myself. I thought I came out tonight here to inspire you. I'm going to be left the one inspired. I'd like to bring this back to my Kehillah and tell them what I saw tonight. The interaction between a Rebbe and his Talmidim, his Balabatim, the warmth, the avir, the ear. There's something tangible in here. That's fantastic. And of course, there's the Rabbanit and the Rebbitzins and the ladies behind the scenes that are supporting the Kahal. Because without them, we don't have that magic. They bring the bechiyot. They bring the emotion to the tefillot. We add the words and then they cry, and that opens up Shamayim in a togetherness. So let me tell you about a friend, a rabbi out in Short Hills, New Jersey. It's usually at this point that I stop, I pause, not for dramatic effect, but to look around to the tzibur and see, okay, who knows this story? Or do I have to change the channel? Who's holding the remote? Okay, so far looks like we're okay. Yeah? Okay. See, this is the problem when you put stuff out online. You have no idea. You can never go anywhere to speak because you might end up being a rerun. And that's the worst thing in this business, Rabbi. It's unbelievable. So, a good friend, a rabbi in Short Hills, New Jersey, And a young Lubavitcher rabbi, he comes into Short Hills. There is nothing, not a shul, not a mikvah, zero. And it turns out that he and his Rebbetzin starts working from scratch, from bottom up. They open a shul, they open a mikvah, they open a day school, which later on becomes a yeshiva. And he starts to do a tremendous amount of kiruv. There was one young Russian boy who turned out to be the rabbi's prize student. Later on, he became a real Ben Torah, the real thing. Now, the Rebbetzin, on the other hand, also had a Talmidah prize student, and she too became a real Bat Torah. So, they put two and two together, and when it came time of age, the rabbi took his favorite student, and he matched him up with the Rebetzin's favorite Talmidah. They went out a few times, and they got engaged. Would you believe it? Wow, it was the talk of the town in Short Hills. Not too many things are going on in Short Hills, but this really shook the town. It's like, that was great. The rabbi's favorite student with the Rebetzin's favorite Talmidah. Like, what are the chances? And it worked. But the rabbi realized that this wonderful student was a Baal Teshuva. One of the most very difficult things the Baalei Teshuvah go through is that when they kind of enter that new circle of religious Judaism, it's the old circles that they no longer have connections to. So he has no friends from years earlier. He doesn't have any acquaintances. Who's going to dance by his wedding? What does a Baal Teshuvah's wedding look like? He's in a new crowd. So the rabbi takes upon himself that the night of the wedding, the rabbi's going to run around from table to table, and he's going to be pulling people off chairs. And he doesn't care who, what, where, or when. Men, young, old. He's getting everyone to dance because we need all hands on deck for this one. We need everyone's help. And that's exactly what he did. The night of the wedding, right after the chuppah, the music begins to play. Chatan and Kala come out for the first time. We're presenting for the very first time. Da, 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 and they come dancing out. And that was the cue for the rabbi. And he was true to his word. He ran to the men's section. He started grabbing everyone off their chairs. And he's pulling, come on, let's give the Chatan, and he's pulling people off their chairs. And he got everybody to dance. Everybody. Save one man. One old man. He was in his 80s. And when the rabbi ran up to the old man and he said, come on, let's go, let's give the Chatan a great time, we need everybody. He always says, please, Rabbi, don't pull me out. Just leave me be, let me sit. He says, why? You're the only person that's sitting. Let's give the Chatan an unbelievable night. He says, no, Rabbi, please. He said, why? Come on. And he grabs the old man, he starts to pull. He says, Rabbi, please, I'll tell you. Okay, you're not going to believe this. I'm 84 years old. And I had my Brit Milah this morning. The rabbi said, what? He says, you heard me. The rabbi says, is that a joke? That's not a tasteful joke. We don't make jokes like that. He says, no, Rabbi, I can joke. I'm serious. My Brit Milah was performed this morning at 84 years old. The rabbi said, come on. He says, no, Rabbi, I'm telling you the truth. This morning, in the back of the shul, I had it. Rabbi says, what? Why? Who? Where? What are you talking about? He says, Rabbi, I'm the Zayda. I'm the grandfather of the Chatan, that Russian boy that you made frum. And 2 weeks ago, my grandson comes to me and he says, Grandpa, I just learned from the rabbi the magnificent symbolism of what a chuppah is. The canopy represents the Shekhinah HaKadoshah. And when we walk under the Shekhinah, literally it's Borei Olam Kiviyachol, putting his arms around Chatan and Kala. And he's starting out as that partner for an amazing marriage together with Chatan and Kala. It's a moment of such holiness. My grandson told me, Grandpa, because You never entered the brit of Abraham Avinu. I can't allow you to stand under the chuppah with me. It's a place of Kedusha. He says, when I heard that, Rabbi, this grandson, he's my favorite. I would do anything, literally, for him. I turned to my grandson and I told him, it means that much to you? Really? Okay. The morning of your wedding, I'm going to have Brit Milah in order that that evening I can stand under the chuppah with you. My grandson was moved to tears. Rabbi, I did it. This morning, the back of the shul, I had the sandak, I had the mohel, I sat on some guy's lap, but I had it done for the sake of my grandson. I'm going to stand under the chuppah in Kedusha like a proper Jew so that my grandson will know how much I love him and he should see how much it means to me, how much it means to him. He says, Rabbi, please, you have no idea the pain I'm in. Don't pull. The rabbi says, I'm sorry. I really thought you were joking. I cannot believe the words you're telling me. The rabbi was trying to kind of save face a little bit. He reaches into his pocket and he pulls out an envelope. And on the envelope it's written, 1979, Lubavitcher Rebbe. He rips open the envelope and the rabbi pulls out a dollar bill. And he turns to the old man and he says to him, when I was only 5 years old, 1979, I was by the Lubavitcher Rebbe as a little boy, and the Rebbe just finished giving his famous Farbrengen, and everybody was coming around in a circle, one person at a time, and the Rebbe was giving each person a dollar bill, as everyone remembers, and each person that went by, the Rebbe said something else when he handed him the dollar bill. He says, as a little boy, when the Rebbe handed me a dollar bill, he handed it and he said, this should be for refuah shlema. Says the rabbi, I was 5 years old and I was perfectly healthy. So I didn't understand. Why did he tell me refuah shlema? So I figured, my dad told me, that probably what the Rebbe means is that one day you're going to meet somebody that's going to really need a refuah shlema. So you're going to be the mailman, the delivery guy. Hold on to it and then give it to someone who really needs refuah shlema. The Lubavitcher young rabbi said, I've been holding this dollar for many years, waiting to find that right person who's totally in need of a real refuah shlema. And I'll be honest with you, all these years, I have not met yet somebody that was in such a need for refuah shlema. I can see the pain on your face. Please, take this dollar from the Lubavitcher Rebbe and let it be for refuah shlema. And he puts the dollar in the hands of the grandfather. And the grandfather takes that dollar bill and he starts bawling. Not just crying. We're talking Niagara Falls. Bawling. He's crying. He's bawling, but such a cry. And the rabbi looks at the old man and he says, well, did I say something wrong? What's the matter? And he says, you don't know what this means to me. He says, no, tell me. What's the matter? And the old man says, over 40 years ago, I came from Russia. The night I landed in JFK, my brother-in-law picked me up and he brought me that night to Crown Heights. And he brought me to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, says the grandfather. And I went into the Farbrengen exactly the way you described it. And I saw afterwards the rabbi was giving dollar bills to every person that went by. And says the Zayda, he said, I got online as a young man with my brother-in-law and I came around and when I came up to my turn, the Rebbe, he took a dollar bill, he stuck it out in front of me, and then he looked at me and he pulled it back. And he asked me in perfect Russian, did you ever have a Brit Milah? And I said to the Rebbe, no. In Russia we couldn't. And the Rebbe smiled, and he put the dollar bill in my hand and rubbed my hand, and he said, here, take this dollar bill. And the day that you make a Brit Milah, I'll give you another dollar bill. Why did it take me 40 years? I had the opportunity. I had that moment. Why did I procrastinate? Why did I let time just go? The opportunity was there. I knew what was right. I knew what had to be done. But then life kicks in. And there's so many different distractions and Yetzer Haras, and so much going on. You don't know what this means to me. You don't know what this crowd means to me. I look around and I see that this week's parasha was the opportunity of every kehillah. Va'asuli mikdash, make me a shul. But v'shachanti b'tocham, I want to dwell not in the shul, in you. The only way for him to dwell in you, in conjunction to the shul, is if there is an awe of a decorum of tefillah. And you took that opportunity. And like so many others that lost the ability to portray what a real shul is supposed to look like, you mastered it. And I listened to Shmuel's speech tonight. And I listened to the eloquence of Rabbi Mendelson, Hashem shall bless him, Arichut Yamim Mishanim, with kochot. And you understand now all these unbelievable people came together, each one with what he had to offer and his opportunity, and he did not let it go. Lehefech, he jumped on it at the moment and built something today that you look around, it's L'Shem Tiferet. And that's why to me this is awe-inspiring from what you put together. But I want to tell you a secret, and here's my close. When you accomplished what you did with the opportunity that was given to you, and you didn't fumble this opportunity like so many people out there who just didn't appreciate the opportunity that was given to them, and take a look today what you built. You should know that the Yeshuot of Klal Yisrael today and the Tefillot are coming out of the few places left that there's no talking in shul. I don't have to tell you the Alter Ger Rebbe, who used to talk about the Sfaradi Kehilot that was saved and spared in World War II from the Holocaust and the Nazis, because they had a decorum of tefillah in their shuls. They were saved from the worst of the worst. I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure you know that. I don't have to tell you about the great Rabbi Avigdor Miller, Zechet Tzadik L'Bracha, who used to instruct people who were actually lo aleinu lo alechem in all different types of tzarot or mahalot. And the first question Rabbi Miller would ask the guy, he's crying to the rabbi, he has a mahala. You know what Rabbi Miller asks him? Not which doctor you're seeing, which shul do you pray in? What shul do you daven in? And when he told the rabbi which shul he davened in, Rabbi Miller said, that's the problem. Change shuls and you'll see a Yeshua. Go to a shul that there's no talking. And there's been countless stories of people with mahalot. I don't want to use any words. People with mahalot that listened to Rabbi Miller, left the shul that they were in, went to a shul like this one, the Kehillah Marine Park. There's absolute magnificence in silence, in awe-inspiring tefillah. And in a very short period of time, they started to heal. I mean, it's just beyond words. Yeshuot that come out of these tefillot. And here I'm going to end with my chidush. In such a place of silence, not only does Hashem answer the tefillot, but He spends them in a way that you wouldn't believe was the best for me and you. You see, because when I was in second grade, I went to a yeshiva called Tiferes Elimelech. An old friend, Chaim Wanunu, we grew up together. Literally, when I tell you we grew up together, it's not like you hear people say we grew up together, meaning that they saw each other once in a blue. We were together every day of our lives. Our families, my mother and his mother, my father and his father were from those Moroccan boys that were brought over by Rabbi Avram Kalmanovich to the United States at a very young age to be able to save the Moroccan families and keep Torah in their homes, in their families. Our fathers were from those very lucky boys that were brought over, because I can tell you my uncles, they're all very successful. One uncle of mine, an ambassador. Another uncle of mine in Luxembourg, an eye surgeon. Another uncle, he's something, I don't know, we keep hearing about different stuff in Paris. But my father's the only frum guy in the family. They call him the rabbi of the family, because we were saved by Rabbi Avram Kalmanovich. We grew up together. In Yeshiva Tver Sali Melech in second grade, a good friend, Yoshua, comes walking in. And he says to me, Duvi, we're not going out to play football today. I looked at him and said, what'd you say? Football is my life. I just was second grade. He says, no. Today by recess, we're not going out to play. I said, come on. Whoa, what's the problem? He says, my mother went to the hospital this morning. My father took her as I was going to school. I said, is everything okay? He says, yeah, Baruch Hashem. She's going in to have a baby. She's going to give birth. I said, oh, Mazel Tov, beautiful. So what's the problem? He says, don't you get it? I said, no. My mother's going to give birth. I said, okay, I got that. So what's the problem? Why are we going to recess? He says, don't you get it? I said, no. He says, Duvi, I have 5 sisters. I said, yeah. He says, we got to daven that it's going to be a boy. If I have one more sister, I'm done. They drive me crazy. We're not going out to recess today. We're staying in and we're davening, it's going to be a boy. I said, wow, that's a code red, okay? If you put it like that, I guess we're not going to recess today. And sure enough, recess came, everybody ran out, and me and Yoshua stayed inside the classroom. I remember we pulled out the Tehillim, and we started shuckling, and we were davening with Kavanah, Eibishter, please, be Merachem, help Yoshua. He has 5 sisters, it has to be a boy. And we were davening and davening, I remember. Middle recess, my Rebbe, Rabbi Chil Fried, he comes walking in with his signature coffee, and he's looking around the class, and he sees the 2 of us. He says, Yoshua, nu, Bensoussan. What are you doing in the classroom, middle recess? Are you feeling okay? I said, yeah, Rebbe, it's okay. He says, what's the matter? I said, Rebbe, it's an emergency. Wow, what's the emergency? I said, Yeshua's mother went into the hospital today. He says, everything okay? I said, yeah, Baruch Hashem, everything's good. So what's the matter? No, Rebbe, you don't get it. She went in to give birth today. Oh, Mazel Tov. So what's the matter? I said, Rebbe, don't you get it? Yoshua has 5 sisters. Rebbe, he's going out of his mind. We're davening. That should be a boy. He says, oh, that's Taka Pikuach. Go ahead, keep davening. Keep davening. Well, I remember chuckling, that we were davening with Kavanah. Recess came, recess went. Recess was over. 2 hours later, we're in the middle of the classroom learning, and there's a knock on the classroom door. And in walks Yeshua's father. And the whole class stopped. And they saw him and they said, so? And he stood there with this big smile and he said, it was a baby girl. And I remember the whole class went, oh. And I remember in second grade, I must have been 6 years old, I jumped out of the desk and I said, what? I gave my recess. How could that be? We davened. Well, P.S. It was a baby girl. And they named this girl Naomi. And today, her name is Naomi Bensoussan, my wife. Can you imagine if it was a boy? Pure tefillot, the Eibishter knows what to do with. And he knows how to spend it. and he knows how to apply it, and he knows how to bring it out for Klal Yisrael, Yeshuot v'Nehamot, but it has to come from a pure place. The Rebbe says, all I ask for is a makom that has a decorum of an awe-inspiring tefillah, with an awe-inspiring Rav, with an awe-inspiring tzibur. Give me a heart. I want to be able to be shochen bitocham, in a place of a real mikdash. Because in a real shul, I rest not in the shul. I rest in you and your inspiration. And the minute you give me a tefillah, you'll see what I'll do with it. You'll see where I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for Klal Yisrael and for this magnificent Kehillah. Hashem should bless the Kehillah of Marine Park, the Rav, Shmuel Pine, Mr. Holzberg, the entire Tzibur, to continue to inspire Klal Yisrael of what a Tzibur and a Shul was meant to look like. Shavua Tov.